Guys, good evening. It's Monday night, the 17th, the first night of week 11. Uh, I'm just so you all know, I'm safe for the night. Everything's fine. I was able to accomplish my goal today, which was pretty impressive. It's the furthest I've gone yet. You might see I'm wearing a different shirt other than my yellow shirt. Well, this shirt is compliments of the Clinton Middle School in Clinton, Oklahoma. This is home of the champions, and that's kind of the school model is be a champion, and I like that. I like when folks set a high bar to try to achieve, and I'll be forever grateful for being a part of them. When you walk all day and you get sweaty, and there's been a steady breeze and the sun starts to go down, I get a little chill. So I was able to kind of towel off and put on a dry shirt, so that's why I have the dry shirt. So I apologize. I don't know why I have to apologize. Anyway, I'm wearing a different color shirt, but I'm very honored and flattered to be wearing this particular shirt. So thank you, Clinton Middle School, for learning about me and let me tell you a little bit about the journey. You know, I don't know how I came across to the folks back there. I hope I came across decent. I tried to be quick because I didn't know, you know, I only had a few minutes and I didn't know how many minutes, and I could talk for hours about this journey. But it was funny, after speaking for 5 minutes or 6 minutes about how it triggered and what I'm doing, the principal had the kids in the audience asking questions. One I didn't expect, I've never been asked it or whatever, but I guess when you walk a lot of miles and kids are in athletics, the one young man said to me, "Let us see your calves." So I had to pull up my leg and show him my calf. It's nothing extraordinary, quite frankly. Maybe I'll share it with you one day, but it was a funny question. So here I am on stage at this middle school pulling up my sweats and showing my calves to the kids. So you know, I got a kick out of that. Other than that, I do need to, I called out earlier, a friend of mine, Jim, that talked to me about Jim and Nathan and this GPS track or the SOS button, which they recommended while I get out into the desert, which is very cool. Essentially, it sends pings off of satellite so that with an app, I think, you know, not all you guys, but the ones that need to know where I'm at, friends and family, my children, can follow on the app and know exactly where I am and that I'm safe. So it's kind of a cool thing, and it's a Garmin product, and I had mentioned these bugs are out of control here in Oklahoma, man. Holy cow. If this thing keeps crawling towards me, I'm getting and running. I'm telling you right now, this thing's about this big, and it's smiling at me as it comes at me with its teeth gnashing. That is just crazy. I don't get it. Anyway, I think I got it. So it's a Garmin product, but it's a company that does the pinging, for lack of a better term, out of New York, that is following the journey and wanted to be supportive and share it. And I have to get their exact name because I do believe in sharing that information. I didn't even know this stuff existed. That's what's so cool about this journey. Nathan, Jim, Scott, others have talked to me about things I never even knew existed. I'd be out here tripping on myself, quite frankly, and these are folks that I never met before. When I left July 9th, I'd never known these folks, and yet I feel like they're friends for life, and clearly they care enough about me to want to be part of keeping me safe for my family. So, I mean, that's compassion and love right there. So thank you guys for that. There really wasn't a lot of activity on the road today. Just, I mean, when you walk on the highway, nobody stops to engage you or talk to you. And when the mini marts are far apart, you know, that's my hype time. And I came across, there is a story for tonight that's going to be basically the rest of the night video. And I was kind of disturbed by it a little bit, to the point that I called somebody just going to share. A couple times on this journey now, I've had to, when you're walking and you're thinking, it's real tough to be, you just analyze things and you try to do the right thing, and that's kind of the quandary I'm in, is what is doing the right thing. And today I met a gentleman named Martin. When I stopped for my lunch break earlier today, I met this gentleman named Martin and talking to him. And I ended up spending close to 40-45 minutes talking with him. And on one hand, there's a certain beauty. I talked to somebody that's similar in one way, completely polar opposite the other way. But yesterday I spoke with, I did a live stream with Steve back at the KOA in, I don't say that's what tonight, El Reno. So Steve is self-sufficient and essentially living on his own out of his truck, but he's rigged it up as its camper, bedroom, living room, TV. It's a home for him. Martin is a discharged vet that is essentially homeless, and there were a lot of thoughts that went involved with it. So if I talk for a while, I apologize, but I want to give you guys perspective. I want to give you perspective from his point of view. I want to give you perspective from my point of view, and I mean, that's kind of all I'm really looking to do, is share people's stories with you. So, you know, Steve had a healthy mindset. He was comfortable doing what he was doing. It was by choice, and he loved his little setup. Well, I met Martin. Martin is traveling back from Missouri back to Los Angeles. His daughter lives in Missouri, and he says he makes the trip about 3 times a year. I told him I was heading out to Los Angeles, and you know, maybe I'd get together with him when we get out there, talk to him or something like that. He didn't have an address, and he said, "No, this is my home. Take a look. This is my home. I live out of my car." And I said, "No, help me understand. Are you genuinely homeless?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I am." And I said, "Well, just help me understand. You know, do you live is there a community of homeless folks?" He's like, "Yeah, a lot of people go out to LA from Oklahoma. Texas is 120 degrees in the summertime." He goes, "At least out there we know the weather's decent. That's why a lot of homeless are heading out that way. A lot of vets." And he says, "No, I don't stay in any community. I don't want to be locked down. I try to bounce from place to place." I said, "Do you shower at?" I learned along my journey that a lot of these rest stops for truckers have showers and stuff in them. He said no. He much like I did back in Pittsburgh, got joined up with Planet Fitness, and he tries to he was in great shape, so he tries to exercise. I mean, it must kill time from sitting in a car. He exercises, showers, and takes advantage of that opportunity, and then goes about his day. But I tried to ask him, first I thanked him for his service, and tried to ask him a little bit about, you know, how he came to be that way, and how he came to be homeless. And you know, again, this is his perspective talking now, but it's at least worth sharing with you. So he was medically discharged from the Army. He has damaged vertebrae in his neck, and so he's medically discharged. And as he explains it, he collects a pension of about $800 a month. When the Army discharged him for disability, they wrote the way he explained it to me, and I don't know which is fact or which isn't, I'm just sharing the information he gave me, is that the Army basically puts you at 30% of disability in all cases, and then kind of says, "Hey, now you're the VA's problem," for lack of a better term. He didn't say that. That's, I guess. And then the VA doctors will take a look at you, and they will then determine. They can make it 0% and take everything away. They can make it full or some range in between. So as his story goes, when he left the Army said, when you get out, because you don't have a job, you can apply for unemployment. So he's collected his pension. He went to the VA, and the VA upped him from 30% to 60% disabled, which I guess allowed him X amount of dollars. But $800 a month doesn't do a whole lot for anybody. I mean, you can't live in an apartment out here in central Oklahoma and pay electric and food and rent. So certainly out in LA, you're not going to be able to get away with that. So just this whole quandary of events. So he went to the VA, and the VA doctors looked at him, and they won't prescribe him pain medication that he's in every day, because they basically say, "We don't want you turning out like the Vietnam vets that we overprescribed opioids to, and they got addicted." They won't do anything surgically to help him fix. So now he's, you know, physically unable to do a lot of jobs. He has a GED only. So he applied for unemployment, and unemployment said, well, because you get $800 a month pension, you're not eligible for unemployment. So now there's that money out the window. So when he got back, he had to sell his truck and most of his belongings to try to float for a while. And he also pays support to his daughter. And so then eventually the VA made him 90% disabled, and I don't really know the difference between 90% and 100%. I don't understand how that works. But essentially, he's a guy in pain. I can't get any medication. They won't give him surgery. He's having a hard time finding a job. He can't find an apartment, because if he fills an apartment application and says his income is $800 a month, no apartment is going to give him an apartment knowing he's not going to be able to pay his bills. What's the guy do? You know? Apparently the stories he told me is he went to the VA, and the VA doctor spoke to him for about 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes essentially said to him, hey, you know, you were I guess he's talking about having PTSD, having served over in Afghanistan and Iraq and some other and served overseas as well, but not in a combat zone in Germany and things like that. And the doctor essentially told him, hey, you know what, you were pretty messed up before you got into the Army. So I don't know if that meant they're going to put their hands up and say, hey, we're not responsible, because you were, you know, already kind of, maybe not all your screws were tightened on the way in. I don't know. But anyway, I met this gentleman tonight who was essentially homeless. Has a hard time pointing a thumb because, you know, he went over to join the Army. These bugs are out of control, man. He went over to the Army. I'm not getting these things in my sleeping bag, I'll tell you that right now. That is freaky. Anyway, he went over to the Army thinking that this stuff was promised him, at least that's his perception. And now our country's kind of backdooring him a little bit. And you wonder how people lose it, right? You know, you wonder, how does it get this way? I talked about a story when I was back in Indiana about some schizophrenic homeless guy that went and stabbed a young lady on a train dock up in Oakland. And, you know, the parents' quote was, the system failed them. I don't know if the system's failing Martin. I don't know the stories. I only know the little bit he shared with me earlier today. But, you know, it's pretty crazy to kind of hear when he tells it that it seems like whatever option he tries to go with. Oh, there was one other thing. So he applied for a VA loan for a home. And clearly the VA, if you can't show job stability, isn't going to give him a loan. And back in the day when he was on base, because he was single and not married, they wouldn't let him get a VA loan for a home off base. He was at Fort Campbell in Kentucky. They wouldn't let him get that because he had, as a single guy, he had to live on the barracks, or in the barracks. Only, I guess, married folks with families could get a VA loan to live in the town. So now that he needs to get a house, the fact that he's not married is being held against him a little bit as well. So again, I don't know the reality. I'm just sharing his perspective, and if that's his perspective, that's a really tough deal, man. You know, I think I got some tough stuff to overcome mentally. I met G back on this journey early on, and G is very, very spiritual, and he sees my journey more as a work of God, and I'm not disputing that. I'm not supporting that. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to talk about me. But one of the things G kept saying is essentially, Jim, you are homeless. Right? You're homeless every day. You don't know where you're going from day to day. That you're a homeless person just like these guys, and that resonated with me a little bit as I heard Martin's story. Is you know, I am homeless as well, but I have not even a long term. I have a short term goal. In 7 weeks, I'm going to be back home, hopefully to my home and my children, my family. This guy has no short term plan. And I gave him a little bit of money. People have been gracious to me, and it's not about me receiving all the time. It's about me giving when I can. I gave him a little bit of money to have some gas and maybe get a hot meal, because, you know, he's telling me basically pulls into a trailer. Tonight he was going to try to get out to Albuquerque, sleep a few hours, and get back home to LA. But what's in LA? Sleeping in the car again? I mean, you can put that in any state. And so as he left, I was really tormented and troubled as to, you know, did I do the right thing by just giving a little bit of money and wishing him well? He carries a rifle in his truck, he showed me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, certainly he's undergone, from his perception, a lot more than I would be able to handle. And I don't know what the right thing to do is. I would, you know, again, I see Steve choosing to live that way and having a mindset that there's no fear of anything. And I meet Martin the next day living on his own homeless, and it's a completely different story. And I'm running out of time here, so I just wanted to share that story with you because then it bothered me all afternoon. And then, like I said, in essence, my own homelessness. But again, it's my choice to be homeless right now. And I'm not trying to play it up, I'm not even trying to compare that. I'm just using G's analogy. and mine is so much better than his. I have to rock and roll. I love you guys. Thanks for following here Martin's story. Share your thoughts with it as well. I love you guys. Have a great night.